get over this guy. What a wonderful crowd tonight, and what an encouraging thing for everybody that's connected with this marathon to have this number of people here expressing their enthusiasm about what we're doing for St. John's and the Child Care Center. It seems to have kept going up and up and up. I'm sorry that Bob Wagner isn't here. He's up in Pebble Beach in the golf tournament. And, it's raining. The airplane he was going to take time couldn't land, so he couldn't get here. What's going to happen to the golf tournament, I don't know, but I wish them well. But I also wish Bob well, because he has been such a wonderful help and given so much of himself to this marathon, which I am very excited about now. I can't believe. Everybody said, well, how long has it been on? 2 or 3 years? I can't believe that we're coming up on the 9th year. Planned. They planned the different trees for different streets, and
wow.
You know, it's a beautifully planned city.
Yeah, it's still beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just busier now.
Yeah, it has traffic like everybody else.
Yeah, I know.
Teach us what we need.
Okay, great.
We're going to start in just a second. All right.
Okay, quiet enough. First thing I think we should talk about, the Child Study Center is the charity of your choice. Why did you choose the Child Study Center in particular to honor as a charity?
Well, I think this was pretty much St. John's idea. They feel this is a very important part of the hospital, and it sort of, up to that point, it sort of was here, but you didn't hear much about it. And St. John and so many people on the board and everything felt that this is one of the most important things possible. The idea of having a center in the hospital completely devoted to child care, whether it be physical, whether it be mental, it's a tremendously important thing, I think.
Yeah. Now, your wife was the one who first brought this to your attention, is that correct? Did your wife introduce St. John's program to you?
Mm.
Did she work with them?
Yes, she's been working with St. John's, way before the marathon started.
Wow, great.
Yeah.
Have you actually had the opportunity to meet some of the children?
Mm-hmm, yeah. Actually, Walt says we're going to meet some more this year, but we usually every marathon we get a chance to meet some of the children.
Do you enjoy that?
Very much,
yeah.
Very much.
That's wonderful. So how many years have you been doing these marathons for this cause?
This is our 9th year. It's hard to believe, but this is the 9th year.
Impressive. And how much money have you been able to raise for this?
I think overall, from the time we started, over $1 million.
It's wonderful. How does that make you feel?
Good.
That's great. That's great. Let's go back a little bit to your early acting career. You've been called an everyman, the kind of guy that everybody can relate to, a real guy. Not too smooth, just a real guy. Do you think that that's a valid picture of you?
Oh, well, I don't think I'm the right person to ask that question, but as I say, I got started out here in 1935, and that was when the big studio system was going strong. I've always felt, especially after the war and in the last 10 years maybe, I've had the feeling so much that the big studio system is missed. I suppose it'll never come back because of maybe expensive and too financially to run it, but I still think it was the best way to make pictures.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons for this is because you learned your craft by working at it. People don't realize that in the big studios, the actors didn't sit at home and wait for a script to come along that they liked. You went to work every day at 8 o'clock and got home at 6 in the evening. And if you weren't working on a picture, you were doing tests with other people that they were thinking about signing up. You were on the road with a picture that you weren't even in, sort of promoting the picture on the road. You were in the gym taking exercise to keep yourself in shape. People don't, and the different studios, of course, they loan people and directors, they loan art directors and so on between them. But each studio sort of was a family. And it remained that way, and it was a wonderful time.
And you miss that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we worked 6 days a week, and Saturday night everybody got together and ended up in the Trocadero. The Trocadero is not there anymore, but it's more than a nightclub. It was a wonderful place to have dinner, and a wonderful place for everybody in town to sort of get together.
When you were a part of the studio system, are those wonderful memories to you?
Yes, very.
Yeah.
Yes, as I say, I just every time I think about it, I think how fortunate it was for me to get my training in the studio system.
Great. Tell me a little bit about the kinds of characters that you tended to play. You fumbled a little, you were a regular kind of a guy, you were a very lovable character. The character that we saw you play in many of your movies that you became known for, is that how you really are? Are you really that kind of a person?
Well, I'd say, again, I'm the wrong person to ask about that. As far as the kind of description you gave, I think this was a part of developing a form of acting.
Mm-hmm.
This is. I don't think you ever stop learning about acting. Mm-hmm. I don't think the time comes when you say, well, now I finally made it here. Now I'm an actor. Now that's it. I don't think you ever stop learning. Yeah. But here again, going back to the studio system, where you were working all the time. You were working at your craft all the time, and you were learning.
Sure.
You were learning not only to say your lines and not only to sort of expect certain things without having the director sort of guide you around like you were crazy or something. I think it was very important to have that period of time where you could sort of learn, not particularly get a character that you were going to keep, learn to change, learn to go along with the script and learn to change characters, but learn to put a part of yourself into the character.
Of all the 75 films you've made, 80 now, my goodness, this must be an old bio I was reading. 2 Academy Awards that you've won. You've done so much in your career. Is there anything that you would like to have done or still would like to do that you have not yet?
Well, I think about that every once in a while, but I just think that my career has been helped and aided through the years by a tremendous amount of good fortune, and for that I'm very grateful. And I think that's been a very important thing.
Nothing that you still feel you'd like to do in your career?
Well, I'm still looking for scripts. I'm still looking for. I don't know exactly what type of thing I'd like. I don't have that in mind.
Yeah.
I just, as I say, I still read scripts and everything. I'm just looking around
Still keeping busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sure are. You've been known as an all-American kind of a guy. You volunteered for the war. Are you still a patriot?
Well, I love my country, if that's what you mean. I love my country.
Why did you volunteer to go to the war back then?
Well, I thought the country was at war, and it was my duty to serve my country.
And you still feel the way that you always felt?
That's always way. I think it was taught that very firmly by my father,
Oh, yeah.
who was in the Spanish-American War in the late 1800s and the First World War. So he knew the military.
Great, great. Valentine's Day is right around the corner, any day now. Do you have any special Valentine's Day memories?
No, I don't. You can't pick out one particular one, but I think Valentine's Day is a very nice holiday. You know, it's sort of a family day, a little on the Christmas idea, but I think it has a little thing a little different from Christmas, but it means family getting together.
Yeah. What do you think is the best way to spend Valentine's Day?
I think if it's possible, get your kids around. Either have a nice dinner in the evening, and with friends, or go to a friend's house for dinner in the evening. I think it's a very nice holiday.
Great. What about Father's Day? What's your favorite way to spend Father's Day?
Father's Day, sort of, the years have kept coming, and they seem to be coming faster. I kind of forget about Father's Day.
Oh, do your kids let you forget about it?
Well, they call me up and say Happy Father's Day.
That's nice. Do they ever come out and take you out to dinner or do anything on Father's Day?
No, I don't think so.
It's usually a telephone day.
No, I think.
Yeah, great. Let's see. You were a bachelor for many, many years during your career. What was it that made you decide to marry Gloria?
Well, I met Gloria. She's the best thing that happened to me in my life. She made my life.
That's wonderful. So it wasn't that you wanted to be a bachelor and then you wanted to be married, it was just that you were waiting for Gloria to come along?
Well, I suppose that's the reason. I don't know. I suppose as the years kept going on, I suppose I thought every once in a while, the years are piling up on me, and then suddenly the war came, and then there was 4 years sort of that I was away, and I didn't have much time to think about getting married or anything. But Gloria solved the problem.
Oh, that's wonderful. The show that we're doing this interview for, Crook and Chase, is kind of a country show, and Kenny Rogers is especially popular with our audience. You're a special person to Kenny Rogers, and he has a picture of you in his photography book, doesn't he? How did you feel when he proposed to you that he'd like to put you in his book?
I didn't know it. I didn't know it, but I really made it tough for Kenny, and I'm sorry. I was sorry, because he would call me saying, "Now, would you have time to just come over?" And I had something to do. But I remember I was doing something at a theater downtown or something, and Kenny was back there with his camera, and he said, just as I was going past him or something, he said, "Would you just, on your way off stage, when you're finished, would you just stop and let me take a picture of you? And that was the picture.
Oh, so you never had a big photo session with him. He just
No.
caught you on the run.
Cut me, but he took 2 or 3 pictures of me. But he was all set up and lights and everything and took it.
Great. Do you like the way that it turned out?
Yes, very much, very much. And it's amazing because it was a backstage and everything was dark except the lights that he had. It was, I think, a very nice picture.
Yeah. Were you glad that he put you in the book?
Yes, very, very proud.
Oh, that's nice. Do you have a copy of the book?
Yep.
Great. Where do you keep it?
Oh, keep it in our library where we keep books.
We sort of covered this question, but I'll ask you again to see if you have anything else to say about it. When do you really think that Hollywood had its heyday? Was that during the studio system?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think from the very start of the studio system, I think up until the war. After the war, the studio system started. I don't know exactly how it happened, but I remember talking to my agent after the war, and he said this because the contract I had with MGM ran out during the war, and they offered to renew the contract after the war, but my agent and several other people that I advised me not to, so I didn't. And I think probably they realized that there were things happening that were the major studios system was going to change radically.
And it certainly did, didn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think we'll ever see a Hollywood again like the old Hollywood?
I suppose not. And I suppose one of the reasons is we probably will never see the big studio system again.
Yeah, yeah, it certainly has changed. Now, we were talking about Kenny Rogers' book, but you wrote a book not too long ago, a book of poetry.
Yeah.
What inspired you to write that?
Well, I don't know. A friend of mine, Leonard Gersh, he sort of asked me about it, and he knew some people on Crown Publishers and called them, and they said yes, and I was in New York and I went to see them, and they thought it was a good idea. So the first poem I wrote was 20 years ago, so that and there are just 4 of them. And Johnny Carson said the book's almost as thin as I am.
Have you said the first poem you wrote was 20 years ago. Have you been writing different kinds of poems? Have you been enjoying poetry for all these years?
That's what's in that book.
Just
That's
those.
I maybe a couple of more, but they're just 2 or 3 lines and everything. I decided not to use them. But that's it as far as my poetry is.
Can we expect any more?
No, I doubt it.
Oh. Have you ever thought of writing a different kind of a book?
No.
An autobiography?
I've always felt from the time I was a kid, I've always felt that it would be very important to write a diary so that you could have a sort of things that happened during your life on your, and especially in the war, I decided that I was going to do. I was going to have a diary, and I was going to, so I could have my experience in the war. So I bought the book and everything. Well, 4 years later, when I was home and my foot locker got lost on the way from England, but it finally came back. And I opened it up, and there was some old clothes and some long underwear, and at the very bottom was the diary book. And I opened it up, and I had filled out the first 2 days.
And that was it?
And that was it.
Oh, and you never picked up a diary again?
No.
Oh. Well, that's our loss. I'm sure it would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think that you ever will pick up a diary?
No, probably
No.
not.
If you didn't during the war, forget it.
Yeah.
You're not going to. 50 years from now, when historians are looking back at your films and looking back at your life, how would you like to be remembered? As a poet, an actor, a husband, someone who worked hard for charities? How would you like to be remembered?
I just sort of like to somebody who was in favor of hard work, somebody who was in favor of doing things that meant something to help your family, your community, and to love your family and your community and your work and God. That's about it.